Yeah, I mean, I think it's always a little bit tricky that week coming back from a long break. We get about 2.5 weeks off, so it's good for our guys to recover and heal up, but then also to get back into the systems can be a little bit tricky at times. So for us to open up that week against Canterbury, which was a good team, coming off their small school championship from the year before, knew they had some key pieces in place, and had it there on a Friday night, and they sort of took advantage of us early and jumped all over us, and we definitely weren't ourselves. Our team did not look like our normal team, and compete level was a little bit low where we would like it. Our physicality was way below where we like it. They capitalized on their chances. They had some power play goals, that sort of swayed the momentum a little bit, and they took it to us that night.
Well, I think the boys kind of went into the game not ready to come back. I thought it showed in the first and second period. Because they put up a lot of goals on us, and we weren't clicking as a team. The chemistry wasn't there. Everything was off for us, and I think in the third period we actually found our way. And if we played like that the whole time, probably would have won the game. I think we scored like three goals in the third. We definitely outscored them. But it's just so you need the full 60 minutes to win the game, so we couldn't get it done.
Yeah, they were ready to play us. Playing at Canterbury is always fun. It's a tight rink, and they shot the puck from everywhere against us. We played fine. We got in a little bit of penalty trouble, and I think that we had some momentum going our way during that game. They had started better than us. Their goaltender played really well, and we started to get it back in the second period, and we had some penalties happen against us. Unfortunately, that put us behind the 8 ball, and I thought the momentum went their way from that point on in the game. It was a tough loss because we thought we played pretty good hockey, especially in the second period.
Okay, so from what I remember, we had a practice the day before the Canterbury game, and that was the only practice we had. And going into the Canterbury game, we knew they were going to be a good team because they won the championship last year for small school, so we knew they had some pretty good players. And going into the game, we had to find a way quick because it's our first game back in 2 weeks. We knew we were going to be a little rusty. We had to make sure we were playing fast, hitting them, just doing the little things right. It took us a while to find the back of the net. I think it was like a 4-1 game maybe after the second, so it wasn't completely out of reach. But in the third period, I'm pretty sure we just folded, and they scored some goals. We got a few at the end of the game, but we ran out of time, so it wasn't really worth it. But I think the final score was 7-4. It was just it wasn't really one of our good games. I wouldn't say we played terrible, but we didn't look great. So it was definitely frustrating after that game.
So I feel like it was unclear who we were going to play after the break. So that was a little concerning. Then we ended up playing Canterbury. I felt like we arrived at that game and weren't great at all, and didn't turn out really good. Only positive note from that game was probably we got some power play goal, and
so coming off Christmas break, we came back with good vibes, ready to play. Showed up to Canterbury and did the total opposite. They blew us out. We were getting chirped and everything, where we came out slow, where we thought we were going to come out playing better, but came out weak, and it kind of showed after we lost. What was it, 6 something?
7-4, I think.
7-4, where that was a hard loss because it could have turned around our season there, but we took it like a man. So that's what happens when you show up thinking you're going to win the game, or you're going to show up when you think you're going to lose. So that's how it works.
Westy, everyone played good. The power play was really on, and obviously Miggs had a hat trick, helped us a lot. Offensively we were very in tune and together, and we were ready for to handle them and obviously beat them and stuff. I think it was just a good overall game, especially from our Liam and Miggs those guys. They had a lot of points that game, I remember, and they played very well.
So going into the Westie game, it was back-to-back, so we played Canterbury on Friday, Westie on the Saturday, both away, which is not, it's pretty hard to do. Westie, they're a solid team, that we played them in preseason. We took a 3-2 loss, but we were right there with them. So going into the game, it was basically like a must-win game. Like, if we would have lost that game, we would have been, I think, like 3-8, so that, or 2-8 or something like that. So that definitely would have killed us. But I think it was tie game going into the third. We were playing pretty solid. We had our chances, they had theirs. It was, back and forth game. Third period, however, they took some pretty dumb penalties. That gave us an advantage on the power play. I believe I scored 3 power play goals. That was good for me. That was good for our team because we really needed that. And they fought back. They didn't just give up. I give credit to them. And we came away with a 6-4 win. It was a solid performance from me, from my teammates, from us. We just worked hard. We fought for the win. Shout out to our goalie. He played really well. I think it was Ian Arnott. He played really well. But it was a good win to bounce back, get us in the win column. So that was good.
Yeah, I feel like for that game, coaches came in the room, gave us a big speech, and I just felt like our group was really ready to play. We came out strong, and shout out to Andrew Migliori for a huge hat-trick.
So Coach Bob gave us a good speech before the game about Johnny Walker Red, and it really got the boys going and feeling for the game. So we came out strong. First 5 minutes, we put the puck in the net, and that was the point in the game where we just kept our foot down the whole time. We brought home a good win where it helped us become more positive with the team as a whole and win more games. But yeah.
So Westminster game is definitely a turning point in our season. Probably got us out of our drought. We were kind of on a losing streak, and Coach Bob comes in, give us the talk about the Johnny Walker Red. We're not gold, we're not blue, we're red. We're the one that gets you the drunkest most. We're the cheapest, and we do it the same as every other team. So during the Westie game, it was a tight game. My favorite shift was they just scored on us, and then we get out there. I win the faceoff to Nicoletta. Nicoletta passed it to me. I go through one of the defenders, 2-on-0 with me and Blaze. I pass it to Blaze. Blaze passes it to me. We score, and then we go silly in their student section, and it's pretty electric.
We came into that game. Not a great start to the season, coming off the Avon Classic, Canterbury that week. A couple of bad losses, but looking back at it, it was really the turning point of our season. Good performance all around. Everyone on the team, everyone chipped in. Nick's hat trick. Going to play at Westie was a great environment.
So I think the turning point message in that game was before the game. We were talking about the work we had put in as a team and how we played against Canterbury, and just how, as a team, how our coaching staff and our players believed we needed to play in order to win a hockey game. And we weren't following that ethos of how we needed to play. We needed to play more conservatively. We needed to play more physical. Just kind of have a blue-collar mentality. And we were a little bit too fancy against Canterbury at times and not disciplined enough. And that was the talk before the game. We talked about some funny things. I made a reference to a commercial I had seen and a brand and how this brand had like different levels of purity to its brands. Like, you could buy this brand, the cheapest one or the most expensive one, and the cheapest one is red and the most expensive one is gold. And we just happen to be a blue and gold team, and the two most expensive ones in this brand are blue and gold, and we kept playing like the expensive one. We needed to play like the cheap one. We needed to play like the red one. So we started to, we talked about that philosophy before the game. The guys had some fun before the game talking about it. We kept it upbeat, and we really showed up well against Westie at a tough barn to play. And a couple of our guys were still playing a little bit fancy. One in particular, Migliori was playing a little bit fancy, and we actually sat him during the game. And he got so upset, he stepped up after we sat him, we put him out there on the power play, and he banged home, I think, a hat trick. And we had a huge goal from Laramie as well, coming down the right wall on an entry there. And it was a great game for us to rally around and maybe to build upon. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember actually talking to, Coach Jonkus, who's the Westie head coach, at the end there, and obviously we have a great relationship and great connection there. But I remember, him asking who we had next, and I said Kent, and we both sort of like, they're really hard to play against, and they bring in every game, and they did. They came into our barn and had good energy, had good juice. They had some momentum coming. They were feeling good about themselves. I do commend our guys. I don't think, the score is very, sort of indicative of how the game went. I don't think, they really pushed us around much and pulled away, but I think, they sort of able to capitalize on some of their chances and score.
Yeah, I mean, we played Kent at home, and, we have been like a very good home team. Most of our wins, or a lot of them are at home. Unfortunately, we couldn't get it together defensively. I mean, Kent had a very good goalie, and it was hard to score on them, even though we were getting opportunities. But I think Liam had a nice goal that game. Kind of a single effort on the power play. But we just defensively, we weren't following our system. We weren't buying in. But then, after that, we kind of feel like the team, the vibe and practices were different. Everyone was more serious and realized, what we had to do to make it to the postseason. And that's when people really started to dial in on what we had to do.
Against Kent, we played fine. They just brought it in that game. They had a great game against us. And it's funny with Kent, they're usually like high-scoring games. But the last couple of years hasn't always been that case. But that, for them, that was a high-scoring game. Their goalie here, their Harvard commit goalie, stood on his head, made some great backdoor saves on their penalty kill to keep them in that game, to keep it close. We pulled the goalie. We kind of fought back a little bit there. We got it closer. We were down by like 4 at one point, and we got a little closer. It didn't work out, but Kent was I still liked our game against Kent. They were just better. Yeah.
All right, so Ken, coming off the Westie win, I think we had some pretty good energy. We were looking forward to this game. It's kind of our rival. They're only 20 minutes away, so it's going to be a fun game. We knew that. You got to give credit to them. They came out ready to play. I think a bit more than us. They came out to like a 2-0 lead quick. So they were ready to play. We had our chances though. We played I think we played actually really good that game. Their goalie was really good at net. Like he was stopping everything. Our power plays, he was stopping. He made some really good saves overall. I thought we had our chances. We did score 4 goals that game. It was 7-4. But they were good. Their goalie again, he was really good. So I got to give credit to him. And it didn't go our way. That's it. It was just the lucky bounces. We didn't get any lucky bounces at all. It was just one of those games where you needed that lucky bounce. We just couldn't find one. So it was very unfortunate to lose that game. But so we were coming out of that game, it was not great. Our energy was a little down. But we had to stay with it and just continue, just to push through. So, yeah.
I feel like we were in it for most of the game, but then the goalie just stood on his head and really played good. And unfortunately we lost, and we also lost Ian in that game. So, yeah, it sucked. That was a hard game.
Yeah, I mean that's just a good team. They kind of came to our rink and showed us the team they were. We weren't ready for them, and they just put up a lot of quick goals on us. Couldn't climb back, but kind of another wake up call game after that. We just figured out what we had to work on, and went forward from there.
Yeah, so feeling good after Westie, but kind of took a bad turn for me personally too. Bad game from the start for me. Led up 5 through 2 periods, and in the last 2 seconds of the second period went down, my groin popped on me, and that was my season. So